From Madison, Illinois to upstate New York, the Stock Car Racing League Redline Truck Series has hit its halfway point, race number 10 on the season that comprises, of course, 20 races. And tonight we're going to Watkins Glen International for the Monster Designs 105. 7 minutes remain here in practice, and as it stands, defending winner from Gateway, Eric Heater, is currently the top man on the board. Well, he was, and has now dropped back into fourth. He's about 2/10 off of the next man in front of him, Jordan Coots, your points leader, as Luke Peters stands in second, and Dylan Basin, making his first run this season, is on pit road, but he's also the fastest man on this circuit by 65 one-thousandths of a second. So as we kick things off, a few more warm-up laps before the race gets on its way. 45 trips around the upstate New York circuit in Schuyler County as we get this thing going. In Watkins Glen, one of the fastest road courses in the entirety of NASCAR. At one point, they did visit Montreal like we did on this season's schedule, and that's a much longer circuit, so it does take a bit more time. The Roval up there as well. Sonoma, they've even gone on the Circuit of the Americas as of recent. A very long, twisting, and turning track, but Watkins Glen a bit simpler, and it gives every driver the opportunity to succeed at their desired level. I'm your host for tonight's broadcast. I'm David Kreutz. I hope you enjoy tonight's presentation. As you can see, the number 4 machine on your screen, the fastest man on the track who's currently taking laps, and he's going to be in that number 4. Of course, his teammates in the number 10 and the number 41 on the circuit as well. As a matter of fact, Mike Campbell 12th on the board. I don't see the 41 on our time and scoring, but Michael Rosero, one of the guys to look out for if he does in fact join this session. 17 drivers registered at the moment, 15 of which have taken laps. Goes down to Sam Benson in 15th and Corey Rexford in 14th. Rexford at the moment 2 seconds off of the best time put down in this session, has a best of 1:15.8 flat there, so not bad at all. 24 practice laps put in on his end, as right now Dylan Basin only has 6, and he's the top man on the charts. And with that being said, Luke Peters on his way, trying to contend with Jordan Coots, who is on the track. And Jordan Coots, one of the best drivers in trucks in the entirety of iRacing, closer and closer to making round 2 of the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series. He's in the second split, broadcasted on FTN as well, and he's proved to be one of the best guys race in, race out tonight in this league as well. It is no difference as he looks to get more momentum for his championship running. Tonight could be yet another great night. The dominance he's put on in this season, it is second to none, and tonight looking to be second to none in overall, as 45 laps could see him as the winner at the checkered flag. It's going to be Fisher Studios in the chat room. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation as we just begin to kick things off here. It's a great show at Watkins Glen we hope to see, as we still have a few more minutes before racing gets on its way. We'd love to have you all the way though, as we are still in practice. Qualifying 10 minutes worth coming up very soon. Going to be 2 laps able to put down for all these drivers, and then our final 5-minute warm-up period where we get to look at everything going on, perhaps get an interview or two, get the starting grid on your screen, and then we'll go from there as Monster Designs 105 looking to be a non-stop action-packed race. Now, Watkins Glen, not a simple track per se, but definitely a track that every driver can hold their own in, and you won't expect to see all too many incidents if we get by that first turn without calamity. That seems to be the deciding factor for most races at a road course on iRacing. If you can get by turn 1 without a late dive bomb or a send that ruins someone else's race, you should be good to go all the way, and that's indeed the case that, of course, a guy like Luke Peters hopes to have. He has an awful lot of pace in his own right, looking to take that into, of course, qualifying. At the moment, going to be Dylan Basin on the track for the first time in this stream. The 04 machine has a Lowe's MVP's sponsorship, and he's looking to be the MVP of tonight's race. A road course rigger looks to be on his case tonight, as we have not seen him all season long, but nonetheless a flashy color set as a neon green on that number set alongside the contrast of the darker blue and the bright white, looking to put a bright show on and be the bright light for every viewer watching this race. And it looks like Fisher Studios hoping to get back by Michigan, so we'd love to have you, of course, by that point, if not earlier. Always a great addition, the number 65 machine and company, and we'd hope to have them back very soon. Tonight, though, we still have some great faces in this circuit. Luke Peters is going to be second on the moment, and it's going to be Dylan Basin, still the top man on the board. He's only put 7 laps in, the highest amount of laps put in this practice session so far. 29 by Eric Heater, your defending winner. use this hour and 10-minute session to his advantage to perhaps get more and more expertise compared to the remainder of the field. It could play off in a very positive way during the long run. As a long run, we do expect to see perhaps some tire strategy, some fuel strategy as well. And iRacing going to play a major difference in that. Is basically going to take a major ride up to the fence there, almost goes over the catch fence to get by the tire barrier, and the number 4 machine almost taps the wall in that moment. And iRacing is a new fuel setting called auto fuel, and that will automatically calculate how much fuel the drivers have until the checkered flag that could optimize your strategy, but sometimes it does in fact come up wrong. So these guys are going to have to be on their toes regarding strategy all night long. The good majority of the field right now on pit road, as it seems like a driver's briefing might be in play. Kyle Jackson now the only man to be keeping an eye out for a flashy paint scheme on his end. The red and the gold contrast one another quite well. It's actually complement quite well, and it's going to be the black and white that do indeed contrast right there. It's a flashy paint scheme for the 96 as he looks to get himself into the top 10. He's currently 5th on the board, or no, he's now going to be down to 11th as a lot of guys put some time in, and Jackson's laps have been reevaluated. It looks like the number 96 has a best lap of a 114.450. And right now, when it comes down to the best guys on the circuit, Dylan Basin looks to be one of those picks to win for a lot of viewers. Now, Basin looks like he's shown his face for the first time in this series, but he's well known as an iRacer, so he might be one of those guys to watch out for, even if you don't see him all too much in this Saturday night truck showdown. He could be in there, as right now, every driver on pit road in unison, waiting to get back out there, as it could be a driver's briefing in play. 1 minute remaining here on the board, and the number 1 machine of Carter Casey right there. He has the first pit stall in practice. He got there because, of course, registered first. Maybe he'll be able to stay up there if he gets, of course, pole position in qualifying. That remains to be seen. As one man going to be out on his way already. It's going to be Kyle Jackson, and looking to make his move once again. He makes it out, and he could be one to put on the action in the final minute here in practice. He's going to be on his way right off pit exit. Almost gets off the line there. That could be a penalty, and that is something to take note of. These drivers have to be very careful no matter where they are in terms of their pace throughout the race. You get a pit road penalty trying to exit a bit too wide, that's going to cost you, and that could take you down a half lap and then some. Watkins Glen, you don't get lapped immediately like at an oval. Too many twists and turns for that to happen very quickly, but that will put you way behind in the field, and you'll need to have a miracle for you to get yourself back in play. Jackson going to take a long straightaway there and send it right into the tire barrier, as now the 99 of Vinny Tigner gets on the move in his own right with 3 seconds remaining. He will not be the fastest man here in practice. That will go to Dylan Basin in the 009 on timing and scoring. And so it will be practice concluding, and on our way into qualifying for tonight's event. We still have a few more minutes before things get going, and now everyone off the track's been depopulated one more time. It's going to be qualifying time, and the first man out looks to be the driver of the number 0 in Jordan Coots. Take a look. He's now going to be on the track first. Will he go out? It looks like that he will. And William Schmidt get it right there with him. Schmidt loading up his settings, making sure everything is good to go for the most important laps, perhaps at a road course, especially in a league on iRacing. Sometimes you're able to get yourself away from the pack, and almost at 900 subscribers, a great addition. Of course, every viewer has been, and 899. We love, of course, the support we've gotten all year long. Been incredible, as we're now only about 101 subscribers short of the big 1,000. So we thank you all dearly for your support in the FTN Live team. It's always been great to have you race in, race out, as Jordan Coons going turn in, turn out, and using those curbs to his advantage to pick up just a bit more pace as the night goes on. And here he goes once again. That 0 up to the high side now puts the power down, and he's going to get right by almost the original chicanery section. Of course, it wasn't a chicanery per se, but it was loops, turns, bends with elevation. And that was used in Formula 1 a long time ago, of course, 50, 60 odd years back. The way it was originally with that boot, as they call it, it was a longer circuit and a bit more challenging of a circuit. But tonight we see a shorter one used in NASCAR. And of course, a very iconic track in its own right is right now Jordan Coots looking to put together an iconic lap. Qualifying underway, and he'll have the first green flag lap to prove it. And Kuntz down to the inside line there, trying to keep it nice and smooth. Track penalties are very noticeable at Watkins Glen. They are in effect for anyone outside of those curbs. And while we don't see it all too much in NASCAR in itself, here on iRacing, it's more like Formula One when it comes to track restrictions. You have to be on the tarmac, inside and out. If you're outside that limit that they don't want you to be in, you will get a penalty, and that will not only invalidate your lap, but give you a slowdown penalty, so you'll have to abandon your run entirely. If that happens a bit too late in your qualifying lap, it could impact your next, and that might ruin any chance you have at pole position. Right now, Ryan Kendrick going to be on his way in the 77 machine, and he'll be right there on the move. So the same is going to go for Vinny Tigner, as Kyle Jackson's right there, the 96, going to be William Schmidt on the move in the 79, and Mike Campbell looks to prove that he can do it. The same as any other driver here, as he goes right through the curbs nice and easy, and he'll be on his way as well. Coming out of the line, though, it's going to be Jordan Kuntz as he comes through the final corner, makes it so down on a 90-degree first corner. He'll come down the stretch and make it indeed a 113.069, fastest man on the track right now by half a second. No other driver taking a lap except for Aaron Brown. Brown goes second, and he comes through the track at a similar pace, although just a bit slower. He'll have to put some more time, more pace into it if he wants to get that coveted pole position. At the moment, Dylan Basin not going to be on the way, so the same is for Sam Benson, Cody Webster, Nicholas Pressey, and Paul McDonough, as well as Corey Rexford. As it stands, William Schmidt goes third on the board that time by. He's got a 113.654, as Mike Campbell settles the score with a 114.779. Going to be Carter Casey, position number 5, and then Eric Heater in 6th. Right now, as no driver has taken a more certified time. The man at a 00 machine, although Luke Peters gets oh so close. No cigar, though. He's 9/1000th of a second off of position number 1. And the pole position could have been his there, but he was not able to make it happen. Oh so close, but no cigar once more as he comes through the back once again. The fastest part of this circuit, and originally there was no chicane here, so you go right into the boot section without any stopping. This front stretch chicane around to the back stretch chicane, it did not exist, but these drivers had to back it down big, going down to a speed of about 90 miles an hour, then getting back on the power. Take a look on board with the number 4 machine of Luke Peters. And right at that inside line, waiting for the optimal time to exit and putting the power down at the perfect moment. It is key, and you can see he puts it down a bit later than most other cars would, but he gets it right there. It is optimal timing and optimal positioning as he gets it done, and right now it looks to be dead even with his last lap, making about a bit of a margin of advantage. Nobody's going to go a bit wide that time by. This final corner has to be perfect for any shot of the pole position, and as he comes out of turn, well, the final turn, he's not even going to be able to do so. Luke Peters in the wall, and that will be his qualifying run, as Eric Heater now on the way. He's in third at the moment, looking to back up a victory at Gateway. In a major strategy race, Gateway was at one point only about 5 cars on the lead lap, but tonight we don't expect to see that few cars on the lead lap. A great field with a great amount of competition. Right now, the number 28 machine just inside that podium. He's only now behind the number 4 by 11,000ths of a second as Alec Daffin goes through, and he is now only just about a 10th off 5th. He'll be position number 6 at the moment as Carter Casey takes it into 7th. Ryan Kendrick gets on the way, and he'll be in position number 8. And the black box with the white numbering shades of Red Horse Racing, the iconic Toyota team that had drivers such as Timothy Peters and Parker Kligerman back in its heyday. But tonight, it's going to be the number 77 carrying the banner with that Toyota Tundra. And for Otterbox, he's making sure that he is quite secure. And right now, inside the top 10, nothing to be worried about as Carter Casey comes down to pit road. That will be his second lap, and that will be his qualifying run. Eric Heater goes top of the board by 21,000ths of a second there, and that's going to be a 113.048, the fastest man by not a decisive margin, but a margin nonetheless. Great job for him so far. Alec Daffin gets on the move this time by. He's a 10th under his best lap. It could be a minor improvement if anything, but he's not going to be good enough to get up into that top 3 conversation, at least in qualifying, as he comes down to the final turn this time by pit entry. It does not beckon him one bit as he comes around, puts the power down under the goal bowling bridge. He'll make it so, and Alec Daffin, his final lap here in qualifying, going to be a 1 minute 13.751, but invalidated, and that won't do anything for him. Ryan Kendrick takes it into 5th, and Carter Casey still on pit road, as it will be Corey Rexford with the Apex Action number 03 machine who gets it loose, and that's going to be his qualifying run as well. The 03 comes up the track, and that will be it for the man in the 03. How about that Nicholas Presley in the 94? He's going to be 13th on the board at the moment, and as it stands, only 4 drivers have yet to take to the track, and those will be Paul McDonald, Dylan Basin, Sam Benson, and Cody Webster. So as it stands, 13 drivers have put down a timed lap. Presley going to be last of which, though, and as he comes through inside, outside, it looks like Sam Benson now is on the track here, and he could come through with a shocking run to perhaps get himself up at a pole position conversation. Time is of the essence, though. 3 minutes remaining. A lap takes about 1 minute and 15 seconds on average, and Presley now going to be able to put himself into 7th with a 113.678. Nice and smooth. Now Benson going to be on his way in discount tire number 12. Sam Benson always running paint schemes akin to Penske Racing, and while Penske's truck operation is non-existent in the modern day, these trucks, well, they used to have drivers like Rusty Wallace in them way back when. The number 2 with the Penske font, iconic for a moment in the Truck Series, now the Craftsman Truck Series as it was beforehand, and number 12 looking to shine a light on discount tires tonight. Even though he's running the Goodyears, it looks like it could be a good run, and we won't discount him from the pole position conversation at all as he comes through one more time. Gonna get a bit squirrely that time, though. Looks like he's gonna be able to go just a bit wide, recover the last turns where he needs to put the momentum in, goes a bit higher, now gets the run, and he'll put a surge of power in to get going. This will be the final run in qualifying, unless we get a shocking run out of Webster, Basin, or McDonald. That time by Sam Benson makes it through. 1 minute and 58 remaining here on the board. Take a look inside the number 12 machine. Gets it a bit hopped up, and I believe that's going to be a track limit violation. Very slow through that first segment, and according to his average timing, that was about 1.6 seconds off of his overall average in this sector through practice and qualifying. Not good for him so far, though he's going to be able to put the power down now up to about 136 miles an hour as he gets it going once again down the back. 45 laps in front of him, but these 2 might matter the most, and that's if he can even get to the conclusion of his second. It looks unlikely right now. This could be his one and done as he gets in the grass, and that might just be it. Benson looks to be done, and he won't have enough time to put another run. However, he'll still go out there and try to put one in regardless. Now he gets stopped, and that is going to be it. Carter Casey there as well. But as it stands, 1 minute remaining here in qualifying, and I believe Sam Benson has called it quits, and that should be the line up order that we'll see here in the race. And with that being said, we'll take just a moment to get your qualifying positions up on your screen. The starting grid looks to be all but set as the number 12 of Sam Benson, oh so close to finishing out the final run in qualifying. Rex just about halfway there, and that will decide it all for every driver, and it will not give any question or any doubt to the man who's going to be on the pole position. So without further ado, let's get right into your starting grid for tonight's event. This is the Monster Designs 105, and it will be Eric Heater, top man on the board with a 113.048, and Jordan Coots will be right there in second with a 113.069. Then it's going to be Luke Peters third with a 113.078, and Aaron Brown will be in fourth, 113.546. Ryan Kendrick there in position number 5, 113.576 on his end, with William Schmidt in the 6th spot, 113.654. The top 6 guys separated by 0.6 of a second as we get into warm-up here. It's going to be Nicholas Presley pressing the matter, and he'll be right there in the 7th position with a 113.678, and Alec Daffin in the 48th spot outside row number 4 will have a 113.756 on his end. Then it's going to be the number 1 machine, Carter Casey, taking his number 1 Chevrolet to inside of row number 5, 9th spot on the board, and he'll have a 113.817 right there. It's going to be a 114.618, so a gap is major between 9th and 10th, almost a second's worth, as the man in the number 10 Ford F-150, Mike Campbell, takes it outside row number 5 with a 114.618 on the board. From there on out, the remainder of the field goes as follows, and it will be Vinny Tigner in 11th with a 114.944. Then Kyle Jackson getting right there to settle the score inside the top dozen with a 115.512. Corey Rexford going to be 13th outside of that dozen, but it'll be in the Baker's dozen with a 116.098, and the man in that number 03 will be the last man with a timed lap tonight. And it's going to be Paul McDonald. He looks to have not taken a lap so far. He will be in 16th. Dylan Basin takes it into 14th, and he'll be outside of row number 7. Cody Webster going to be there inside that top 15. He's going to have that 91 machine right there in 15th, the final spot there, as Paul McDonald makes it into position number 16. The 076 machine makes it so just outside the top 15, and the final man on this grid with the number 12 machine of Sam Benson as he takes his Ford F-150 for Discount Tire to the back of the field, 17th and last at the moment. No other drivers have registered, and that will be it with inside of row number 9 occupied. And that will indeed do it for the starting grid on the Monster Designs 105 here in the Stock Car Racing League Redline Truck Series. And with that being said, the grid has been set. Let's get right back on a roll here as we get things moving. The driver of the number 09 machine, what we saw before, the 009 of Dylan Basin, had an awful lot of pace in practice, but did not put down a lap in qualifying. Whether or not that means his end goal is to run through the fields here in the race, or if he's not going to even race at all, that remains to be seen. However, he looks to be a bad fast driver to keep an eye out for, as he has not taken any lap in qualifying, and he'll be starting at the rear of the field. And it looks like now Eric Heater on his way here in practice. Corey Rexford there as well. Mike Campbell going to be on the way. And then it will be William Schmidt in the number 79. So only about 5 drivers going. And down the back this time by, it's going to be the final run into the front stretch for the driver of that number 10 machine, Mike Campbell, on his way, and he's going to be able to make it so perhaps the first driver to put a time lap down. He looks to be ahead of the field, and he will be the first man to come down the start-finish line here in warm-up. 2 minutes remaining, so he should be able to put in 1 timed lap. And there he goes again, Mike Campbell on his way in that number 10, and he is on the move. And Campbell right there with William Schmidt. Let's take a ride on board with the man who now has the fastest lap. Eric Heater has it, and he's going to disconnect immediately thereafter. William Schmidt in second in that number 79, and he is now looking to define his run as one of the fastest in this season. Schmidt looks to have that pace on the road course so far. However, a 1:14.304 warm-up, not too good for him as he comes down through once again. The chicane has him a bit off the side of that truck. It goes two-wheeling once, then twice. There we go. And he comes now right within touching distance of the number 10. Take a ride on board with the number 79 of William Schmidt. And now Schmidt on his way into pit road. 36 seconds remain here on the board. Eric Heater, the top man of the charts, but only 3 drivers have taken a lap here in warm-up, so not a lot of guys using this second practice to their advantage to build a bit more speed up. Mike Campbell might be the only one of which so far he's the only driver taking a fast lap at the moment. And that number 10 machine of Mike Campbell is now going to be on his way. Best lap for him in this warm-up, a 1:14.9014, and it's going to be Eric Heater, the fastest man in second practice, with a 1:13.118. That will be it. Second practice has concluded. Now let's get in to your 45-lap main event here and now. The Monster Designs 105 here at the Glen looks to be a spectacle in its own right as we go to Watkins Glen, and it appears it is official. We have hit the 900 subscriber mark tonight. How about that? Gotta thank y'all once again as we continue to push forward race after race, night after night. Y'all mean the world to this channel. You know the reason we keep on going live on FTN. And tonight is, of course, no different as we get into it. The Monster Designs 105. Looking to put on a monster show. Every one of these drivers are as they now get lined up once more. Looking for 1 lap of pacing before it all gets underway for the racing. And the Jordan Kuntz machine right up there. Eric Heater not yet on the grid, but that number 28 has your pole position in the front of the board. And Eric Heater still not there just yet. Aaron Brown going to be 4th on the night so far. William Schmidt going to be in 6th. Alec Daffin is in 8th. Mike Campbell going to be in 10th here. And it looks like every other driver was loaded in. Now Eric Heater is there, but the inside line is not in formation at all, except for now. It's going to be Luke Peters coming in. Alec Daffin there. Aaron Brown is as well, but still not ready to grab a gear as Carter Casey, Vinny Tigner, Dylan Basin, and Paul McDonald have yet to go on to the grid. So not sure what's going on here. It's still going to be the driver of the number 28, the top man on the board, but Carter Casey, Dylan Basin, and now Paul McDonald, the only 3 that have not stepped on just yet. And with that being said, still waiting for those drivers. Basin is not there. We just confirmed it with a double check. Sam Benson is in the back of the field. So we currently have 15 of the 17 in this session currently on the starting grid. And as they get into it this time by the number 28, actually might have a standing start to take care of. And that appears to be the case this time by when they grab a gear, they will get rolling, and they will get rolling loud. No pace car in front of them. Let's get right into this time by. As you could still see, we have not gotten the revs up, but you're going to hear it now as loud as ever. And take a listen to this. The 28, the 00 up in front, looking to be the hero after 45 laps of action. And we have yet to get this one rolling, but the AlphaTauri now does get it rolling. However, it looks like that pace car has just spawned in, and it will not be a standing start. The rolling start will be put into effect. One more lap for every driver to get their thoughts in order. And one final time to get this thing rolling. Grab a gear and disappear. That's the goal for Eric Heater here. And he got it done at Gateway. Not in a similar fashion. It was a race of attrition for many drivers. Tonight, though, he's looking to get some smooth sailing in out in front of that field. The 28 might just have the pace to do it, as Dylan Basin and Paul McDonald have indeed not entered the grid for tonight's event. Basin, who was registered as 14th starter, and Paul McDonald registered as 16th starter. Both have not been shown on this grid in its rolling form. So that will leave 15 men taking the starting grid, of course, with the starting green flag in mind. Down the DRS zone used in iRacing, because unlike in the real world, Watkins Glen is only used now primarily for historical events or for the NASCAR Cup Series and Xfinity Series, these machines on iRacing could vary from any discipline of racing, be it NASCAR, of course, Formula One. It could even be dirt racing. You could take Legends cars here, street stocks, late models. You could take anything you'd want, prototypes, sports cars, what have you. And iRacing, the magic of racing, it is unlimited. So if you want to join the fun, well, make sure to, of course, use our referral code in the description. All the funds that we get from that, of course, source of revenue for the channel, we always put it back into our broadcast to make sure that we have enough content to display any race for any league whenever they, of course, call upon live on FTN, the FTN Broadcasting Network. Love to have you there as well on the track. So use a referral code and use PR-HotLaps for $5. 3 months worth of action with a multitude of cars, a dozen's worth of cars and tracks for you to get in on the action. It's going to be Eric Heater, Jordan Coots, your front row here in Watkins Glen, and the Schuyler County Showdown. It's on! No, we're hitting! And there's going to be an incident, and there's a blown motor! I don't know what's going on. I can't believe it! Aaron Brown has blown a motor, and we have not begun the race! I'm not sure if they're going to start the race here. It looks like, yes, they are. And we blew a motor. Green flag's out, and we're going to get an instant replay on an incident that just happened. Eric Heater leads, but someone just got destroyed, and it looks like that was Aaron Brown. So we'll take an instant replay on the first wreck of the night. Let's just get through this first start. Eric Heater is now on his way. Jordan Kuntz is there in second. I'm not sure what's going on. Everyone's getting slowed down once again. And the caution, is it out? Can't even tell. No yellow flag on the track. They're all going at about 50 miles an hour here. And we have a wreck immediately. I don't know whether or not this is a caution or the pace car is supposed to come out. But our Porsche iRacing official pace car is not there. Instant replay. And we're going to try to get a better angle of this. The wreck on the start. Now, this is when it happened. And take a look at this. And David Bell, that was a mess under 24. That was indeed chaos. And look at this. It looked like Jordan Coots. Oh my goodness. Is that possible? And we're going to take it on the replay. Jordan Kuntz, did he blow his suspension? I'm not sure what's going on here, but it looks like that might be the case. Jordan Kuntz looks like destroyed his suspension, and it just went. So Kuntz just had his truck destroyed, and take a look inside that cockpit. That was not a money shift, I don't believe. Maybe the inputs let loose. We're trying to find a look at it on the cockpit camera, but 2 cars destroyed just like that. Yellow flag is indeed out, and we have not gotten this race started. And something just jams on that 00, and that's his night. That's Aaron Brown's night. And say good night to the both of them, although the 00 now back on his way. But something went really wrong there. It almost looked like suspension blew. No, it did not. And it looks like maybe an input disconnected. And we are under yellow. The race has not begun at all. Jordan Kuntz gets involved with Aaron Brown immediately, and that's going to take out yet another driver. A motor has blown just like that, and now we're set to start the race. And the Schuyler County showdown not without incident, it looks like. Now the 79 of William Schmidt has been promoted to the outside pole position, and I think Thunder, you're right about that. That must have been a wheel disconnection because the pedal jam, the wheel almost looked like it dilapidated there. It was not a hardware failure when it comes to the truck, but it was a hardware failure in the simulation. Nonetheless, let's get right into it this time by Eric Heater getting there with Jordan Kuntz, and let's get into it this time by, hopefully, without incident. The green flag going to come out this time by, it is Heater, and it is going to be William Schmidt now, and the Monster Designs 105 at the Glen begins now, and it's going to take out a few drivers early, but Eric Heater not taken out in the slightest. Here to lead this race he is, and now the 28 takes it down into the first turn, side by side with William Schmidt, and he's going to be able to get that run off the exit. Now no incident off the first corner. Benson loses time, but the number 12 machine looks to be just fine cosmetically, just not able to grab a gear quick enough, and it looks like the 28 is the one who does disappear, not without some contention. William Schmidt still right there with him as we get it going, this time by. And down the back here, and now the number 28 machine in control like he was at Gateway. This is going to be his, if he can just keep it out there. William Schmidt is right behind him, not going to give him an easy time though, as Luke Peters there in third. He is right in the running. Now 14 drivers have taken the green flag out of the 17 that got going, and the first lap underway. Now a few drivers have been lost due to incidents. Jordan Kuntz is now down into position number 10, and the 28 leads the way with William Schmidt there in second. Luke Peters holds on in third. It's going to be the top 3 already building a gap. Alec Daffin now holds on in fourth here as the first lap comes to its conclusion, and the number 28 is the one who gets it done and leads that first time by. And coming down into the 90-degree first corner of this circuit, the 28 of Eric Heater makes himself known. He is out in front, quite far margin now as William Schmidt gets way shuffled out. He looks to have lost that thing almost all the way, gets squirrely, but does get it back rolling, and it does look like Jordan had his wheel disconnect. Undeniable that wreck is, of course, something you never see, of course, most often, but tonight the anomaly does occur, and it takes out a driver that was not, of course, at all responsible for what had happened. The 79 there in third, Luke Peters is in fourth, and Eric Heater is still your leading man as everything's gotten confirmed from that pre-race incident, and we are still rolling. Schmidt going to be just inside that podium. Alec Daffin holds on in fourth, and Ryan Kendrick now is going to be in the top 5. A great start for his run as he has Nicholas Cressy in the dust, but not a wide margin at all. Things could still change here, and that is not a given for either position so far. It's all a toss-up to get things started here in Watkins Glen. Vinny Tigner falls down into 11th here. Corey Rexford going to be in position number 12 with Cody Webster there in 13th and Sam Benson in position number 14. Benson now going to be able to get himself going once again, and the best run for the number 28 machine is his best lap. A 1:13.154 is the fastest seen so far in this race. And take a look on board with a rear view of that 28 and see if anyone can catch up to him. So far it looks like that is not possible. And so far, Eric Heater has this one in control. A great show for him so far as he goes right into this bus stop. Oh, so close to the retaining wall there. Could have made contact. Thankfully, for his sake, he did not. Just made it pixel perfect and gets himself back on the move. Luke Peters keeps it right there in position number 2. And now Peters looking to gain immediately as he comes down and in to the final segment. It's going to be a left-right for the man in map number 4. Looking to make things right on his end as Eric Heater keeps it right there. Far from trouble. The top 2 are, and right now every driver getting away quite well as Cody Webster now battles with the number 99 of Vinny Tigner, Kyle Jackson. Now looking to leave both of them in the dust. And that, it looks like he has Corey Rexford now in there as well. And Rexford down to the inside line. The 99 going to get past. Will Webster defend? That he does. And the road course ringers up in front. See a bit of a move in the mid-pack. And Rexford looking to be a force to be reckoned with here in Watkins Glen. Now putting the pressure down on the 91 who won at Daytona. Still looking for the second win here at a different track when it comes to the 2.5 milers. Watkins Glen comes out to almost 2.5 miles. But it is, of course, a much different configuration. Not speeds of 200 miles an hour, but more like 150, 160 at the top out here, but a lot of slower pace segments in the mix. Mike Campbell going to be able to make himself known. He's now going to be in position number 6 as Nicholas Pressey puts himself right there, and he goes on the grass just a bit to try to get a bit more of an advantage. That will not be a time and scoring penalty, but it could have been if he made it just a bit or, of course, of an acute angle. And a sharp turn for the 94 was a turn of events for him. One spot lost on this lap. Looking to gain it back. But right now, Carter Casey looks to do the same to him. Jordan Coots down and out on the night. One lap down, and he is retired. So 13 men are still on the circuit. How about this beginning for the drivers up in front? The number 1 Machina, Carter Casey, looking to get this battle done here and now as he comes down through at the stripe. He gets it. Lap number 5's on his way for him, and now Casey gets it into 7th. Mike Campbell in the word of his own right now, 6th spot. It is his and only his, as it looks like Ryan Kendrick still not without a battle. Of course, now looks to be in his own world as well. And Nicholas Pressey losing more and more time, 5 laps in at a 45, and a great run, of course, to begin this one. A lot of guys fading out immediately. The race of attrition got its way really quickly. A few guys tapping out just like that, and now it looks to be due for a top 15. Any driver in this race is Pressey looking to make it a top 10, if not just a bit more. He is not done battling with the number 1 of Carter Casey as they all come through down to what could have been the boot. It is the NASCAR section, so we'll skip that entirely and go down yet another longer straightaway. The 94 gets it a bit squirrely, does save it though, and a good decision, of course, for the 94 to keep it right there. Locks it down, does not lock it up, and the tires for Cody Webster being beaten all down to the circuit of course, Watkins Glen, and they're beaten down pretty big as he's trying to make an aggressive maneuver on Kyle Jackson here, and you saw him go wide in the back of the frame. He is relentless, that number 91 machine is, and he'll come through this time by under the Go Bowling Bridge. They both go, and the 91 has a big run on Jackson. Is it enough this time by? It looks like it will not be, but it could be a setup for yet another maneuver. This time by, nothing yet. The 91 goes a bit wider though, and he will try to use that power to get something going. That could be a timing penalty as Webster now hits the wall, and the 91's going to be a bit of trouble just like that. He looks to be all out of control, and now loses much more time, gets much more damage, and he looks to be almost out of control once again, and it's almost like deja vu there. Now the 91, who looked to have a promising battle with the 96 going, has lost about 2 seconds on this lap, and add to that the scrapes. He backs it down, gets it going once more, and gets through the bus stop, not without an incident, but it looks like he has something way wrong inside that Mountain Dew Chevy Silverado. Eric Heater right now has done no wrong. He's leading by only 0.3 of a second though, and Luke Peters looking to claw that gap down further and further as they come down the line. This time by that number 4 machine has not been playing around as they come into the 90 once again. Peter has that edge, entry, and exit. Once more, Peters goes a bit wider, gets himself about a quarter of a groove, a bit further out, but nothing major. And these two have been able to copy one another just like that. Great drivers often resemble one another in their driving lines, and that is indeed the case when Eric Heater and Luke Peters go at it time and time again. William Schmidt right now is in 3rd, and Alex Gaffin is in 4th. The top two are the closest battle on the track. The number 4 gonna go, whoa, almost out of air entirely, and he was about zero wheeling it. It was a two-wheeler for both of them, that is for sure. And 7 laps in, that number 4 is tight to the curb, trying to get a better run off exit. He is putting down that pressure more and more. It appears like Eric Heater has someone to run with here, and it might be for the worse on his end, as it's going to be backing into the left-right-hander here. Heater gets it more on the entry. Now looks like Luke Peters has it on exit, backs off, tries to force a mistake. That time by, no mistake is found, and it looks like it will be all for naught as they reset and go to the 90 once again. No, Eric Heater in the crest, big time there, and he slides just about a 1/10 of a second lost, and that number 4 is not out of luck. Take a look at this as they go through and through. The number 4 is right there on the bumper. They go side by side this time by, but not enough momentum to keep it that way, and the 28 still has it going, and it looks like the 4 concedes his battle. So far, so good for the both of them. You don't want to mess it up very early. That looks to be the game plan here, waiting for the long run to get on its way. 8 laps in, no cautions are to be expected, as now Sam Benson comes into pit road. Cody Webster and Corey Rexford have both retired respectively, leaving only 11 drivers on the circuit. Sam Benson coming in this time by, is the 12 machine due to retire, or will he getting some service in early? That remains to be seen, as the number 12 discount tire has certainly had his fair share of beaten bangs so far. He comes to the pit road, and that might be it, and it looks like it is not. He's getting some service at the moment, so he'll be good to keep racing, as out in front the 28 and the number 4 are nose to tail here in Watkins Glen. 8 laps in out of 45. The battle, it is still brewing, and they keep it going nice and smooth. Coming along the line once again, the 28 is still your leader. Luke Peters there in second, and it's going to be side by side now. Dead even 9 laps in, and they come down into the first turn with Peters now having the advantage over Eric Heater, but it is not major. Peters gets very squirrely that time by and lets Eric go once again, and they reset to battle once more in the bus stop. And look at them go. It's going to be the number 4 machine there in second, and once more William Schmidt going to be about a second back in third. The top 2, the closest battle on the track. Sam Benson goes 1 lap down at the moment. 10 men are on that lead lap, and 4 are on this straightaway. As you can see, Eric Heater right now taking that curve very aggressively, but Luke Peters looks to have done it one more. And the number 4, how about this? Peters had him side by side at the moment. Notice it all went away, however, and he'll have to regroup and recoup once again, sliding through in and out. The Eric Heater machine now looks to have himself with clear skies in front, as it is, of course, a partly cloudy day here in Watkins Glen. The only thing clear is the air coming in on that number 28's front end. William Schmidt gaining in slowly but surely, perhaps on William Schmidt, but that number 4 machine keeps it going, trying to settle the score, make it 10 laps through this time by. The double digits are already going, as it seems like Vinny Tigner now going to be the final man on the track. Benson done for the night. Kyle Jackson there with Vinny Tigner, and now Tigner might be able to reel one in and have a battle of his own, as 10 through and now more than 35 to go. The 28 is the only man who seems to be with any pressure on the track. Sliding in and out, the number 4 of Luke Peters keeps them honest, and they come down the back in a similar rate. It's going to be down, pushing as hard as they can into the bus stop once more. Peters keeps it right there. Eric Heater keeps it in the lead, and you can see, using all the curves that they've got, it looks like Peters goes into the inside a bit more aggressive early, and it's going to be Eric Heater uses that midway point to his advantage and gets that solid exit. That's what he needs to keep the lead. A corner as crucial as the second to last before the left-right-hander. One you need a master, and right now the 28 has that down like nothing. He knows it like the back of his hand so far, as Peters goes a bit wider that time and losing some control, losing some grip on the tires. That could be the big story for these top 2. It's going to be Luke Peters in the wall big that time by, and he certainly does have some damage from that. Eric Heater, looking to go back-to-back on the season, is now out there with a nice and smooth margin of 28 down to the inside line. Once again, sees that the 4 has made contact with the wall, and it made it major that time through, so it could be enough to start compounding, and it could be enough damage to sort of culminate and lead to a slower truck. But right now, despite that damage, which is visible, with the drum shot, it is clean. Not enough to stop him, and Luke Peters is still moving as hard as he can. And Peters coming down into the bus stop once again is still fighting hard, and he's now driving it just that much harder as he now has less power, maybe a bit less on the aerodynamics, but what he does not have less of is that grit and tenacity. He's still driving this at 110%, and that is evident as he comes through once more, almost hits the cones that time by, and they are now leaving Schmidt in the dust. Coming through once again, Alec Davin still there in frame, so is Ryan Kendrick in 5th, a great run for him, but the Peters machine will not be denied to keep himself in this battle. 11 laps in, Eric Heater still there in 1st, Luke Peters still going to be in 2nd as they come through the Go Bowling Bridge once again. It is still the 28 out in front. The Go Bowling Bridge, you might not see it, it is quite innocuous on this circuit, but that is in fact a bridge as Ryan Kendrick now going to have something happen to him. He gets it real loose, does save it, and now he's back on his way. He goes down to the inside of the front stretch and gets back to the outside here as Mike Campbell loses time major and now comes down to pit road immediately, and he looks to have something wrong with that truck. It might be early service for him, though we do not see him wreck, but it does come in just in time to make it to pit road. Vinny Tigner going to be able to get one spot up, so is Kyle Jackson here, and they both pass him at about the same pace, but Mike Campbell is now off of our servers, and he is disconnected. Make it 9 so far. It looks like that's what we got. 12 laps in out of 45. It's going to be a battle in the single digits for drivers as 12 laps in, Eric Heater holds on with Luke Peters, and they're only separated by about 0.2 of a second, so there you have it. These two have been on a great show so far, but the rest of the field can not compare. Out in front, the best battle you can see. It is the Ford machine keeping it honest with that 28, and while he has got some damage, it looks like Eric Heater's not been able to run away just yet. The draft keeps him in tow time after time, and Watkins Glen is one of the fastest road courses in the world, let alone in NASCAR. Its sweeping straightaways and sweeping corners give any driver the opportunity to stay with it, even if they do have just a bit of damage. Iconic finishes like the one we saw between Marcus Ambrose and Brad Keselowski in 2012 have come from such a phenomenon. Even if you do beat and bang just a bit, you still could have a shot at the win, and Luke Peters right now has done his fair share of beating and banging, and he want to limit that as the night goes on, as the number 4 machine keeps it there in the 2nd spot, but not without contention, as William Schmidt right now looks to be battling for his own. As Alec Daffin comes into frame, is now within 2 seconds of the man in that number 79. That time by, Eric Heater ran a 114.763. His best lap so far in this race is the best lap overall in this session, a 113.154 in the race. That is indeed the fastest, of course, in this condition. And with that being said, tire degradation becoming a major factor, only 13 through out of 45. Now, with not a lot of drivers still going here, it could be an opportunity to stretch your runs a bit longer and not lose that many positions. Just about a top 10 is guaranteed. So now it seems like an opportunity for alternate strategies for guys in the back. It could be noticeable as Vinny Tigner and Kyle Jackson way back there could try something different to get up to the top 5 or even the top 3 if, of course, something goes their way. And right now, they are still going clean. That's going their way, but the pace has not let them, of course, catch up to your leaders. Eric Heater keeps it there in 1st, and it's going to be, of course, Luke in 2nd, William Schmidt in 3rd, Alec Davin there in 4th, Ryan Kendrick going to be in 5th with Carter Casey in position number 6, and Nicholas Pressey there in 7th. Eric Heater, though, now beginning to gain a gap just a bit, and this gap could be definitive. Not sure whether or not that's going to be the case, though, as Luke Peters keeps it going there in 2nd. It's going to be the top 2 still within 1 second, however, and right now they are still the closest 2 on the track. Take a look on board with that number 4 machine. C.O. Hardy's wrestling that truck. He is not down and out just yet, and he is using that thing to his fullest advantage. And the fullest extent he can get is, of course, grabbing those gears and pushing them down to the red line. It's the Redline Truck Series. After all, you want to use 110% in a battle like this. He goes just a bit wider than Eric Heater that time by, goes down to the inside, and he is muscling that thing inside and out. Corrections just perfect to get that pace in, and comes down the stripe once again, but he does look to be just a bit slower through and through. The draft might save him that time by. Will it save him overall? I am not sure, as the Peters runs a lap 0.4 of a second slower than Eric Heater. Not good there. 15 laps in on a 45, a third of the way through so far, and Luke is there in 2nd with William Schmidt there in 3rd. Now Alec Davin has gained on William Schmidt enough to make it a battle, and it seems like Schmidt is losing more and more time, and it's going to culminate in one hell of a showdown for 3rd right now. The 79 and the 48 looking to put together yet another battle on the track. The top three, it is contested in and out of it, as now the first man out looks to be the next man in. The 48 of Alec Daffin there in fourth. William Schmidt is in third, with Luke Peters there in second, and still Eric Heater there in first. And as it stands, it looks like with William Schmidt still going strong, the driver of that number 79 and the 48, they're both battling big. It's now going to be 2/10 of a second, and Schmidt's now going to have to fight for it. Take a look on board once again, and this is on the onboard of Schmidt from the front end. Alec Daffin, though, he's using everything he can get off those exits, the entries. Now Schmidt begins to dive them in deeper, and this might be a signal of desperation. He gets it real loose that time by into the grass, and now Alec Daffin has room to believe he could get it done this time by down into the 90. He outbreaks them, and they're going to be double file for second this time by. Alec's going to be right there. They make contact, and they touch big, and Schmidt's going to lose it that time through. Now Alec Daffin on the move, and Alec gets it for Shaw Racing. Now inside the podium, a major maneuver that gets him into third. And he's still got an awful lot to fight for here. 2 spots are still in front of him, and he could get them with that tenacity. He is about 6 seconds out, however, so it is still going to be a far-fetched shot for any driver to get there, as Luke Peters holds on in second, Eric Heater there in first, and 16 in out of 45. The Monster Designs 105 at the Glen, coming down to its best drivers, as it looks like Vinny Tigner now comes down pit road. This could be our first cycle of the night. It's going to be Carter Casey in as well. So is Ryan Kendrick. Kendrick's out, as a matter of fact. And now it's going to be Tigner and Jackson battling again, this time by for something just a bit different. It's going to be who gets off the pit road first, and this could be for position number 8 overall. It's not definitive just yet, that is for certain, but it looks like Jackson gets the edge that time by, and he will be rolling as Vinny Tigner tries to chase him down. And Carter Casey now out in 7th. Ryan Kendrick there is in 6th as Luke Peters comes down this time by to pit road, and Eric Heater holds on for first, 17 in out of 45. William Schmidt there in position number 2. And I tell you what, Schmidt right now hoping that he can keep it going from here. They have to run the lap of his life, though, as Alec Daffin comes down pit road. And Daffin, the time beforehand, was very quick. Perhaps quick enough to make something happen for third once again. Maybe he will be, but it is not a given through and throughout. 17 laps in out of 45. Only one caution before the race began. And as we've gone from there, it's been an awful clean showdown with a 28 up in front every lap. And the time of asking for him, it has been from that qualifying run. He has not lost that lead, not a second's worth. Even though he was side by side with Luke Peters, he did not relinquish it, and he is still there, about 10 seconds out on William Schmidt, who is in second. 9 drivers still on the track here. 2 men are 1 lap down, as it looks like Tigner now is behind Kyle Jackson by about 3 seconds worth. Then it's going to be Carter Casey in 7th. Ryan Kendrick there in 6th. Alec Daffin's going to be in 5th here. Luke Peters sees that Eric Heater comes down this time by. This could be the pit stop that changes it all. As you can see now, Jackson gets his lap back. It's going to be Vinny Tigner coming around to the same point. This time by, he's now going to be on the lead lap as well. And William Schmidt there in the same token. So Nicholas Pressey now has an opportunity to lead 1 lap. Will he choose to do so, or will he come down pit road? It looks like the 94 will choose to risk it all and lead this lap by. And it will be the 94 machine who does not lead the lap, as a matter of fact. And it will be him, though, the only man who has not taken a pit stop out on the circuit. Eric Heater still there. William Schmidt is as well. And Luke Peters coming out of the stripe this time by. He could take that lead. Pressey on the move. Eric Heater is not just yet, but now he is. And the number 79 is there, but Luke Peters is right beside him. No, it looks like a major gap, and the undercut will work. The number 4 now has that advantage by about 1 second's worth, if not just a bit less, to make it 3/4 of a second, no, about 8/10 worth. And as Eric Heater gets it going, he'll have to put the power down and fast for any chance to get back up there. The gap, it is within 1 flat second. Alec Daffin is now going to be in 4th, and they're all going to cycle up 1 spot. So Luke Peters is your effective leader this time by. Nicholas Pressey is scheduled to come into pit road. He might not. It is not a given so far at the Glen. However, it might just happen this time by Nicholas Pressey coming down to the wire once again. That number 94 has had them all going strong, and now Luke Peters, who had it all wrong beforehand, is your leader, but now the 94 looks to be opting into pit road the next time by. He'll choose to risk it once again and take the bonus point for leading a lap. Now Luke Peters, who had that damage and still does, is your race leader, and it looks like it is the decisive margin for now. That number 4, as we check our close-up drone shot, is using everything he can, putting the power down and braking as late as he possibly can. Heater brakes it much earlier, and that's to get a more relaxed sense of it on the braking zones. Gets a bit more power down early, but it does have a bit of a compensation for a bit of a drawback. That drawback might be too major so far to make anything happen. It's 19 laps in out of 45. It is still Luke Peters who has the edge on the race lead. The top two guys are Nicholas Pressey and Luke Peters, but it looks like Pressey is still scheduled to take his first stop of the night, if not his only. Well, it remains to be seen. We did have an extra pace lap that set things off just a bit, so it could happen this time by, could happen the next. Nicholas Pressey looking to stretch the fuel out all the way, and right now he has not strayed from said strategy. Nobody there except for the number 4 and the 28 on frame, as Kyle Jackson now looks to back it down way late, and the 96 has an issue there, and we will find out just what happened. Take a look back, 10-second instant replay on the matter here. It might have just been, almost a spin there, and that it just about was. Take a look at this. The 96 of Kyle Jackson goes for a loop nearly. That's going to cost him one spot as Nicholas Pressey comes down to pit road as we speak. Vinny Tigner gets right by Kyle Jackson, and that will be the battle for 8th. It looks like done and done. With that being said, Vinny Tigner on the move as Nicholas Pressey cycles back into 4th on entry, and Luke Peters now is there in 1st. And it could be a really even competition. I tell you what, these two are looking to play the game of outsmarting one another. And right now, Luke Peters has the edge on the battle, but as he won the war, it is not a given as Eric Heater gets it really loose that time by, and he is wiggling big without much problem. Of course, it seems like that man is on the edge, but it could be a bit too much as Eric Heater's now there as well, and he is still pushing like there's nothing wrong with that truck that time by for Luke Peters over 113.150, and that will be counted as the fastest lap, if not for Eric Heater's 112.902, the fastest lap in race configuration here at Watkins Glen that we have seen. 20 in out of 45, and that man is on a tear, and he is now pushing harder than hell to make something happen in the AlphaTauri number 28. AlphaTauri recently revealed that they will be strengthening their tires in Formula 1. Of course, they're tied to Red Bull. They hope to enhance it more and more. And right now, that number 28, he's looking to strengthen his tie with the number 4 this time through. He has made it about a 4/10 of a second gap, and now that number 4 with Luke Peters is right there in touching distance of the 28 and vice versa. Take a look on board with the number 4 Luke Peters. And Peters right there coming through right to the bus stop. And he now has it by only about 1/10 of a second. Eric Heater now going to make it side by side. Take a look at this. It's going to be a big move there, and it might have been a forced mistake for Peters. No, it was not, but Eric Heater tried to bait him into going way late. Not going to happen, though, and Luke Peters keeps it going on the exit of the bus stop. Now almost through the boot. They will, of course, skip it once again and go through the NASCAR section, and Eric Heater did look to have forced a mistake there. What a move that could have been if the number 4 went way wide, but he is now looking to make it more than wishful thinking. It's time to put your thoughts into action if you're the number 28, and it's time to put the motor to work if you're the number 4. And that time through to make it 22. It's going to be 22 laps in out of 45 and almost at the halfway mark here in the Monster Designs 105. Now, we don't have an official halfway mark given the fact that this is going to be 22.5 mark that would be the halfway, so we're going to put it down on a 24 lap to go signal on your screen as we are just about halfway there. The cross flags will wave next time by as far as we are concerned, and Alec Daffin right now has about 1.6 seconds over William Schmidt for 3rd. Ryan Kendrick is still in 5th, nice and smooth, nice and easy indeed, as Carter Casey's there in 6th, and the number 1 machine is right there in, of course, position number 6. Nicholas Pressey's there in 7th. Vinny Tigner is in 8th with Kyle Jackson still fighting for the last spot on the lead lap here, as 9 drivers remain in this battle. Luke Peters still has a 4/10 of a second edge. Eric Heater almost got it done the time before, but now he still has the edge as the leader. The number 4 going to come down and in once again. The Mobile 1 machine is in position number 1 and has been for quite some time now. He is far from relinquishing it, but Eric Heater is still keeping him on his toes, and the intensity it is ramping up as we are now almost at the halfway point, and that will be this time through. And crunch time, it is certainly going to be in effect. Our first pit stop has been seen. We expect to see one more at least, and it could happen with a yellow. We don't expect one, of course, but it could happen naturally, and with 23 to do, it should be within the next 10 laps at the latest. 6 laps into the stint that we've seen from these drivers on our pit strategy, and that means that they pitted about lap number 17, so it should be about the 16-17 stint if they want to undercut. And Peter's exiting way wider according to the man, of course, Fisher Studios. Thank you for giving that insight. We'll take a look at it from our own end, take a look at our wider up drone shots, and we'll try to get further analysis on the situation. Take a look at the entries and the exits. Now Peters tries to get it going, and it looks like he does get in a bit shallower that time by, and we will see this is one of the deciding corners time and time again. Peter gets it off the exit of the apex and just a bit more, and you can see that it is Luke Peters who does go a bit wider that time through, and that is a crucial corner. Now, the reason a lot of drivers do that is to not brush off speed while putting the power down. And with that being said, it looks like the number 4 machine might be hurting himself by doing that, because that is a very bumpy portion of the pavement. But right now, a short-term game that has not seen its long-term loss, perhaps that is the case, as 23 laps to go becomes 22 laps to go this time by. And that means our TrackCams22.com crank it up is going to be here and now. And of course, we thank TrackCams22.com, Track Cams for Gormans, for their immense support of this channel. As tonight we hit 900 subscribers, and we will take it to crank it up here in Schuyler County, the Monster Designs 105 here at the Glen. And that will be your TrackCams22.com. Crank it up once again. Track Cams Performance, our proud partner for iRacing cameras, the best place to get them. So be sure to visit TrackCams22.com for all the angles that we get race by race and week by week. As right now, Luke Peters looks to be stretching that margin by 1.3 seconds now over Eric Heater. But a big battle is brewing between Alec Daffin, William Schmidt, and it looks like both of which are now within 1 second of one another with 19 laps to go. Time is running out, and this could be the final battle we see on the track. Schmidt this time by looks to be just about a half a second faster, and he is getting more and more time on that number 48, and Shaw Racing now sees itself in yet another battle on the night. Alec Daffin, the only Shaw Racing machine that's been able to survive into this portion of the race. The worst finish he can get is a 9th place spot on the board. It's now Kyle Jackson and Vinny Tigner battle once again, and you saw that overtake on our Crank It Up. It was a major slide on that final segment of the track, and the leaders are coming up on them as well. This could become a 4-truck dogfight as the night goes on, but nothing is confirmed right now. What is confirmed, though, is there is yet another battle to keep an eye out for. These guys, 14 seconds back on your leader, are having a great fight in their own right, and Alec Daffin is still in front, but not by all too much. That time by, William Schmidt looked to have gained about a 1/10 of a second off the corner, and we'll be able to make sure how much time it is accurate, as Alec Daffin, that time scores at 1:14.937. It's going to be William Schmidt with a 1:14.824, so he did in fact gain 1/10 worth that time by. With 18 laps to go, it is going to be still a 7-9 machine. They're in first, of course, in the battle for the 4th spot, but in second position for the battle for 3rd. It's a bit more complicated when it comes down to things like that, and still outside of the podium, that 7-9 machine is Daffin. Still there inside that 3rd spot. He got it there on the first run, but this time by, no competition. This pit cycle has been his for the taking. With about 5 laps until our second and final, we could see a bit of a switch up as the number 48 got it done on the undercut. The time before this time could be maybe for William Schmitz, and it might just happen very, very soon. 28 laps in out of 45, and they come through once again. The leaders do, and now Kyle Jackson is in frame of your leader as Eric Heater comes down pit road. He's playing the undercut strategy, and he's going to take one out of Luke Peters' playbook, and now Peters has to deal with the lap cars on his own, and what a way to leave a man out to dry. The 4 machine now going to be out there on his lonesome as Eric Heater follows into pit road, has not lost a spot just yet. He's only about a second away from losing one to Alec Daffin. Daffin now scored as your second man on the board, and the number 4 now has to navigate through some traffic if he wants to make something happen here. He has Jackson right there with him, and Jackson will not budge that time by. He dives it down to the inside line, tries to get the lunge in on the 96. That he does, and Jackson lets him through. Now it's going to be Vinny Tigner right in front of him, and Vinny has not let off the pedal himself. He knows this is the major edge in his battle, and now it looks like the number 4 gets by the lap traffic without losing that much time, a half a second's worth. He did lose, though, and now Eric Heater back on his way. 17 laps to do it for the Alpha Towering machine, and that number 28 was towering over the competition early on. Now back into 7th, the last man on the lead lap, and looking to get it done on the undercut. Eric Heater is. It could happen his favor. It could be in with 17 more to do it. Looking to make it so. Last pit stop for Luke Peters. It's in and in as now Alec Daffin looking to lead 1 lap on his own right. The number 48 still has Schmidt right there with him. They're separated by now 0.2 of a second as they come through once more. Alec Daffin still looking to settle the scores. He comes down. The stripe is going to be Schmidt in the wall, and it will be Alec Daffin taking it all. Barely going to be the man who leads that lap according to timing and scoring here. And now the 48 in position number 1. The battle for the lead has shifted, but this time by, of course, it's going to look a bit different as the 48 and 79 are now your new faces up front. 2 Chevys compared to the battle before between a Ford and a Toyota. And manufacturer dominance has not been seen all night long, but right now Luke Peters in on his most important stop. Eric Heater right there on the outside line. Luke still has that edge though, but it is going to be Eric Heater with a bit of momentum off of the first curve. The 90 is going to be all his, but it's Luke Peters who has that lead still, and the number 4 still has the edge here, and it looks like the undercut did not do it all for Eric Heater, and now Luke Peters has it fair now, of course by 1 second's worth, and last time we saw that it looked like it was all over as River Page comes to the chat as well as Fisher Studios. Thank y'all for stopping by. William Schmidt now in second here, but it's all for naught. These guys are slated to put one more pit stop in, and Alec Daffin is still your leading man. 0.3 of a second to do it that time by. They both go up high, and Luke Peters gets it done on his strategy, the overcut that time by. It did work, and Alec Daffin set to lead his first lap here at Watkins Glen, making 15 laps to go under his control, and the command is in that number 48's hand as he leads them down in that number 8. No, it's not going to be the 8, it's going to be the 48 Silverado as his teammate, the number 8, did not make it to the start, but Alec Daffin, of course, hopes to make it to the finish like this. It would be impossible, unfortunately, for his sake. The 48 has lost in terms of his strategy. The cycle is going to be different, but Ryan Kendrick comes down pit road this time by, and so does Carter Casey. They'll be 6th and 7th at the moment. There we have it. The number 6 spot is going to be the 77s now. It could be Vinny Tigner's, though, as these two are now back on the lead lap. They're about 1 minute off, though, and they have not made a pit stop, so they are slated to put one more in, and they could be, of course, coming down very soon. Could be this lap, could be the next, as Alec Daffin keeps it out in front. The number 48 does. William Schmidt still there in second as they ride on board once again with a 7-9. And William Schmidt getting the closest he has been all night long to that race lead. And Schmidt, a fan favorite for the NR Night in America groups. Jelani Wilson, thank you for stopping by as well. NR Night in America featuring drivers such as River Page. Of course, he's well known there. And right now, William Schmidt does get to lead a lap as Alec Daffin comes down pit road. And it's going to be an undercut for Daffin. But Schmidt's your leader. And the 79 now has one under his belt with 14 laps to go. His first time of asking. The number 79 machine is now the leader on his own. And Nicholas Pressey cycles up into 5th, but not without, of course, a caution, or rather, that a caution would save him, but not without an expected pit stop coming very, very soon. 901 subscribers, thank you all for stopping by. It means the world. 99 away from the big 1,000. William Schmidt still keeps it out in front right now with the DRS zone in mind. He is putting the power down as hard as he can, gets it up to about 140, then backs it down, and Schmidt has to think about what his next move will be. His biggest battle all night long has been not for the lead, but it has been with Alec Daffin, and he has to keep it in mind that he has to keep himself in front of Alec Daffin if he wants a chance at the podium. It's been his first chance, serious chance anyway, all season long at a road course, and right now he has himself in a nice spot, 16 seconds up on the field, but an average pit stop takes 42 seconds. Right now he would cycle out major behind the driver in that number 48, so that's not good at all. He's about 33 seconds back, Alec Daffin is, as Kyle Jackson comes down pit road this time by, and it looks like Vinny Tigner already out here, so looks like Jackson on a bit of a different pace. Vinny Tigner that time by knows he's one lap down, trying to gain some more on the man in 8th as they still battle for the last spot on the lead lapper. Now the last spot on the circuit. William Schmidt comes down, and that will end his leading run as Luke Peters now has Eric Heater right behind him. These two are setting Heater's lap after lap now, and that time by, Heater was 1/10 of a second faster with the Baker's dozen to do it. And one Baker's dozen indeed. It is 13 laps to go here in Watkins Glen, and the driver in that number 4 machine is still right in front, and Eric Heater's the closest he has been, but it is one thing to catch someone, it is another thing to pass one, as Nicholas Pressey now cycles up into the 3rd spot. He is now the last man on the track to have not taken a pit stop, so we'll see when he chooses to do just that, because it is, of course, going to be imminent, and it will be inevitable given his strategy. That 94 looking to hold out long and strong, but still not able to lead a lap on the off-cycle mechanism. The number 4 machine has now about a 0.6 of a second lead. It was about 1 second flat beforehand, and while Eric Heater does have newer tires, the clean track might be the most major beneficiary and the most major advantage for any driver, and that advantage will come into play in the final 12 laps as we get to him this time by. Vinny Tigner still there with Kyle Jackson, and these two have been battling all night long. They are in the 9th spot. It's going to be Jackson. The 8th spot, it is Tigner, and Vinny still trying to put himself far and away in front, as now Alec Daffin and William Schmidt are close once again. Schmidt this time by, though, does have 1 lap newer tires. That could make the difference for drivers who have not been 100% on it lap after lap. Now, don't get me wrong, Watkins Glen is tricky with low downforce machines such as these trucks, but Luke Peters, Eric Heater on another level. You could expect some mistakes outside of that top two, and we have seen quite a few that have ended up, of course, boiling down to very close races inside the middle of the pack. Luke Peters right now, Luke is far from the mid-pack. He's still your leading man with about 0.5 of a second ahead of the remainder of the field here, as Eric Heater still chases them down through the bus stop, but no use that time through, as Luke still holds him on strong. He's your leading man with 12 laps more to do it. And you can see a bit of actual rear end damage on that wing. It looks like on that left rear side, that number 4's rear spoiler got a bit messed up. It has not changed much when it comes to the aerodynamics of it. However, we have seen damage accumulate on his machine all of this race. But despite that damage, he's still the fastest man on the track. And 34 laps in, make it 35 this time by. He is still man number 1 on the board, taking it down to him. 11 laps to do it this time by. These drivers up in front are 8 seconds ahead of Nicholas Pressey, and Pressey is still due to make a stop. However, he's still in 3rd here, and it looks like he's been on this run for 15 laps. Now, the maximum we've seen so far is about 17. Nicholas is going to stretch it just a bit longer to try to make something happen on perhaps a run back. He is safe from going below the 8th position right now. The worst he can go down to is the 7th spot, because he still is safely on that lead lap, but he is due to go down just a bit more. And the number 7 machine for Carter Casey is in, of course, the number 1 Chevy Silverado, but 7th position is 37 seconds back on your leading man, as Luke Peters making everything happen time after time. Still has Eric Heater right there behind him, and these two guys have rookie stripes on their back bumpers, but they are driving like some veterans here. A champion's drive for the both of them. A great battle all night long, clean, calm, and consistent. Very little contact, if any, between them. The only contact they had is with the wall on their own right. So the number 4 machine, knowing this, will have to make something happen, of course, to get a bit more of an edge. But number 28 is in a bit more of a precarious position. He needs to get that lead, and he needs to find a way to do it, because right now Eric Heater, of course, in the 28 is in 2nd, but Luke Peters has all that clean air, and he has every bit of an advantage that one can have. 10 laps to go this time by, and Heater still there in 2nd, with Luke Peters still there in 1st. And that time by, Eric Heater had a bit of a blink going into the 90-degree corner there. Not sure if that's going to be a minor issue, if it will persist throughout the night, but it did blip off of our screen for just a moment, setting him back through the timing and scoring charts, and that might mean he loses the draft. Now, iRacing does have a waiting time to approximate where you are according to their physics system, and it is about 10-15 seconds at the very most. So if you don't come back within that window, you are just about done for. Or if your hardwired connection does get unplugged, you are absolutely done for no matter what. You could disconnect it for about a second or so, and you will still be out for the night. Eric Heater might not be in a hard line of his own, but he still has a hard time passing number 4, as right now he's losing more and more time, and he might be losing draft, as the approximation of physics does mean that all they're doing is accounting for his own driving and not for anything going on outside of his truck. I mean, any air coming through him, and you might not be able to break the air as well, as Luke Peters not getting that bit of an advantage. And right now, it is showing as that time by, he lost a bit more, but now starting to gain it back, using that draft down the front stretch. And 9 laps to do it here in the Monster Designs 105. Nicholas Pressey is still in 3rd, and unbelievably is making it happen with a bit of an alternate fuel strategy and a tire strategy. He is still there going into the single digits. He's been on this stint for 17 laps solid. I am not sure what the game plan is for him from here on out, but he is still there in front of Alec David and William Schmidt, who are now having a battle once again. And shades of the battle they had about 5 laps prior, they are back in it once again, battling for war, and this time by, they are battling for something better than position number 4. It's position number 3, of course, the final spot in the podium. It could be the 94s, it could be the 48s. Right now, Davin has scored as the man in the 4th spot. Of course, Nicholas Pressey is due to pit shortly, but that shortly, of course, is becoming a bit of a longer distance. So these guys have to play the long game to find out what is going on here, as Eric Heater that time by gains just a bit more. Peter's going to get it a bit tailed out that time by, going into the left and right here. They'll finish this lap off, and under the Go Bowling Bridge they go once again. And even though Eric Heater is still within touching distance, it seems like tires are coming to the equation once again. Heater almost gets to the grass there, and might have gotten to the wall as well. No damage on that front and on that hood that we see compared to Luke Peters, but it still is something to keep an eye out for. He could be losing more and more control as Peters still seems to be more decisive with his inputs compared to the man in the 28s. And 8 laps to do with that time by. It's going to be William Schmidt and Alec Daffin coming through. Schmidt has a run. Will he be able to take it this time? It looks like he will not, but he does not let back, not at all. And he is still right there on Daffin. He's going to get a bit of a shallower exit, but that does mean he has a bit less speed to burn. And with that less burnt speed, he has more speed to use as they come through the S's. Once again, going at a speed of about 126 miles an hour, William Schmidt he is still tailing the number 48 machine and tailing him on for SKS Motorsports, Schulte, Coop, Smith, and Schmidt, the last man in it, as a matter of fact, is looking to be the first man on the board here. And Stock Car Racing League Redline Truck Series carrying the torch for his team week after week and looking to carry the torch in this battle as he takes the bus stop with great amount of course, aggression, using everything he can. Every inch needs to be his at this point. But right now, Luke Peters has every inch to his advantage as they come down the line. Once again, it's going to be a total of 7 laps to go here in Watkins Glen, and he still has that edge. Luke Peters does. Eric Heater, though, is still right there with him, and he has about 0.5 of a second to make up. It is going to be about half the distance of when the pit cycle occurred, but it is still a far enough distance for it to be almost unthinkable without a mistake made from the driver of that number 4. Keep an eye out. It is not over, but it is not, of course, at all the way it was before. The door is not shut, but it's going to be Kyle Jackson now in trouble, in big trouble as a matter of fact. And an instant replay on the matter is Jackson is hooked into the fence, and he just loses it down through the bus stop, and that might just be his race as he gets stuck there, and that means that will be his night. He will not be able to gain any other position given the way this race has gone. He is locked into it, and that will be the battle in front of Vinny Tigner oh so long, but now it looks to be all for naught, and that is not even damage. He's just glued to that thing, and that means his night will be done just like that. He is still there on the track, though, so I'm not sure what's going to happen. As a matter of fact, he is still waiting to get out of there. It does not look possible, though, and Jackson now in jeopardy. He's already 2 laps down as is. And coming out of strike this time by under the Go Bowling Bridge they go, and into the 9-3 corner. You can see the Corning Glass Museum standings chart up at the top of your screen as they go through the front stretch, and I'm certain the number 4 has been up on top every single lap. Eric Heater still there now, making 0.4 of a second, but nothing you can do there as Nicholas Pressey comes in for his expected pit stop. Daffin and Schmidt go by him, and now they're battling for third. It is on indeed, and now Pressey, the worst he can drop down to his position, number 7 indeed, as he's not due to fall down under the lap marker of the leader. Lap number 40, the leader is indeed on. Now these leaders pulling away further and further. Daffin and Schmidt having a battle in their own right, and they are 0.2 of a second apart, but Eric Heater now gaining more and more time once again as they pass by the bus stop where Kyle Jackson wrecked. Eric Heater now as fast as he's ever been as he takes it wide, and that wide approach that Luke Peters had before is now being adopted by the man who's not in the lead, and your pole sitter wants it bad though as he now puts the power down into the braking harder than ever, and it will be 5 laps to go this time by into Monster Designs 105 here at the Glen. And slicing and dicing through, the Luke Peters machine almost gets in the wall that time by, brushes right up to it, but still not in major trouble as they go through once again into the first segment. It is going to be the 90 where everything's decided once more. You can see that now Luke Peters goes a bit wide, and Eric Heater now has a bit of a run. This could be it through the S's. The Alpha Tauri machine now has the power to put an underdog run in and make it an overdog as he's looking to go over the hill and get his second win of the season. Alpha Tauri's first win in the Formula One, of course, the Formula One World Championship was in 2008 as they were rebranded to Alpha Tauri in about 2020, but then they were Toro Rosso, and a young Sebastian Vettel led them to victory in a road course. Of course, it was Formula One, and it was months in 08, a rainy, damp surface, and tonight it is a road course. It is no rain in iRacing just yet, but it could be a victory to remember for the Alpha Tauri number 28 at a road course here, looking to go back to back as now Luke Peters look to be in the same difficulty zone as Eric Heater, both of which have had their equipment used throughout the entirety of the race, and while they have a major advantage over third, 20 seconds worth, now they look to be all for a fair ball game at the end of the day, and the ballpark, of course, it is not out of the park run for any more than these two drivers, but who's going to be the one who gets that walk-off win? We'll find out as they make it 4 laps to go this time by, and it will be the 4 machine only about 4/10 up on Eric Heater. Alec Daffin still there in third. William Schmidt is on his back bumper, and they are fighting hard as they go through the final turn of their own right. These two are still without any conclusive victory in the battle. It is still Schmidt on the back bumper. Alec Daffin has not been moved for the position just yet. But these two are battling like the leaders are, and they are still keeping a fight alive. Kyle Jackson goes 5 laps down at the moment. Vinny Tigner 1 lap down. 7 drivers on the lead lap here, and it looks like 4 of which are battling their hearts out as the 4 goes for a 2-wheel bobble. So does Eric Heater. Alec Daffin there in third, and now it seems like Daffin gaining more and more time for his sake. And right now, Eric Heater might have lost a bit more. He's now a half second back and losing just a bit more once again. That time by, the leaders ran identical laps, a 1:14.732 and a 1:14.742. Only 100th of a second, of course, was the difference. At this time by, 100th of a second might be the difference. It might be just a bit more, as Luke Peters looks to be 1/10 of a second quicker than his average pace this lap through, and Eric Heater looks to be about a half of a second slower. So as they come through this time by, a 1:14.197 versus a 1:14.419. The difference is becoming to be clear once again, and it is clear once more. Heater gets a bit squirrely off the exit that time by once again. Alec Daffin as they come through once more. Schmidt has the run. It's less than 2/10 of a second here, and as they come through, and it looks like as they come through the same way they've had it time after time, Schmidt backs up that time through, lets him in on the entry, gets him in on the exit, and tries to force a mistake, and that he might have, as now the 79 has a major run on that number 48. And as they slice and dice through, they are already into the S's, but they're already out, the leaders are, as now Luke Peters begins to gain more and more time. They both burnt off their tires to an extraordinary degree, but the only man who has had that thing from this pit cycle onward has been the number 4. This has been a 13-lap run on this stint, and it seems like the number 4 machine has been able to extend it as long as he could please. Eric Heater on a 14-lap run has some older tires here. They might be burning off at a bit more of an extreme degree right now, as at most circumstances at Watkins Glen, these guys will be coming to pit any moment now, but that moment is far beyond them. As they come down the line once again, it is 2 laps to go, and it's lap 44 out of 45 here, as Peters is still there with Heater in his rear view mirror, and we take a look once again on the back bumper of the number 4. Peters is still without a clear lead. That number 28 is giving him a lot of time and a lot of attention. Of course, they're going back and forth, and there's still going to be a lot of pressure in that rear view, but right now he has to drive with, of course, up-front focus. You don't want to focus in the rear view mirror in a battle like this, especially at a road course. Hope that everything's going to be, of course, insightful and with some spatial awareness. As right now, awareness between the top 2 drivers has been, of course, noticeable. No contact between them just yet, but we don't know how aggressive these two will be when they come down the line next time through. This time through will be the 1 lap to go marker, and that will mean no caution will be thrown for the remainder of the race. And as they go once again, the Gold Bowling Bridge, their next landmark to make it to, it will be 2.5 miles from this point on, and the battle for the top 2 is still raging on. Let's make it sure once again, this is a white flag lap, and it will be 1 lap to go in Watkins Glen as Heater gets loose, and Peters got there as well, but it looks like Heater loses a bit more time. 1 lap to go in the Monster Designs 105, and it is the final lap indeed, as this is the final opportunity any driver will have to get that victory. The top 2 out in front by 21 seconds. And Peters right there has a decisive drive into the first sweeping portion of the S's. Gets it on. The power's down 140 miles an hour. Back through into the backstretch, coming into the bus stop. This time by, they'll go right into the NASCAR section as they go through, and the bumpers might be used. It could be a beat, it could be a bang. The bus stop, the best shot for any driver to lunge it in. Heater does lunge it, but not enough to make anything happen. He is close to 4/10 of a second's worth as they take it around the off-camber corner. It's a right-hander with some banking, and right now, it's going to be 2 turns the distance to make it happen. It's going to be Peters who goes way wide. Heater does as well. A lunge could be it. There's going to be asphalt here in this section, new and improved here in iRacing. And will it be used to the advantage of the 28? He dives it deep. He does indeed. But the Toyota Tundra has a lot off the track, and he comes back in. He's going to swipe in, swipe out, and it will be a drag race to the line, but I don't believe it'll be any use. It's going to be heater on the wall, and Peters in victory lane. Your winner of the Monster Designs 105 of the Glen. It is indeed Luke Peters getting it done by only 0.5 of a second. And as they come down the line, this time by Daffin and Schmidt in a similar battle, fighting for the final spot on the podium. Schmidt goes wide, akin to Eric Heater, and akin to Luke Peters. It looks like Alec Daffin has the battle won, and he will be in the final spot on the podium. Luke Peters is winning. Of course, he's won it, and he's already burning this one down. What a celebration it will already be as Peters puts on his victory tour around Watkins Glen International. And a race of champions between these top two drivers. Once again, here and Peters, the top two in this league. Gateway, these two battled, and once again at Watkins Glen, but this time a different running order as Luke Peters gets it done by 0.5 second over Eric Heater, and then Alec Daffin, 23 seconds flat behind your race leader, comes home in third. That's going to be William Schmidt in position number 4, 23.4 seconds off with Ryan Kendrick in 5th, and Carter Casey there in 6th. It's going to be Nicholas Pressey, the final man on the lead lap, in 7th, as Vinny Tingner finishes 1 lap down in 8th, and Kyle Jackson finishes 8 laps down in 9th. Then the man who qualified in 10th in the number 10 machine finishes in position number 10. That's Mike Campbell, 35 down, as the remainder of the results go as follows. Sam Benson, 38 laps down. Cody Webster, 39 laps down, and Corey Rex for 41, with Jordan Kuntz, 43 down as well. And there you have it, every driver already off of your circuit. What a way to do it. These drivers have had it inside and out with some great racing, and tonight it has been no different than any other night in the Stock Car Racing League. The action, it has been packed. And now time to get your leader back on track for an interview. Stick around and stay tuned. We'll have him in just a moment here, as we do expect to have Luke Peters in a room for an interview in just a second. As we get your ticker back on your screen, the burnout has concluded for the man in that number 4, but the celebration will live on as he gets it done in the Monster Designs 105 at the Glen. So how about that? Luke Peters gets it done, a 45-lap battle with Eric Heater there, and this time by, you come out on top of the board. How do you feel after this one?
Great. It was a long race, but a clean race too. And yeah, finally able to get a win this season.
And finally able to get it done in that number 4 machine. Now, how do you feel after this one? A great battle between you and Eric all race long, and no contact, just some nice, smooth, clean action between the both of you.
Yeah, a ton of fun. I'm glad we were able to keep it clean, and just had to make sure I didn't make any major mistakes, and make sure I saved my tires enough so it wasn't too loose on the long run. And I think I did a pretty good job.
And a major point in strategy all night long, those tires. How about those tires? A 2-strop strategy for every driver in this run, about 15 lap stints for every single run at it. So how important was the final pit stop for you to get that lead and get going immediately, as Eric Heater tried the undercut on you on that final run?
Yeah, I tried the undercut on him in the first series of stops, and I was able to jump him. So I was kind of nervous he was going to be able to get to me, or ahead of me after the second pit stop, but I'm not sure what happened, if I just had it faster or if he messed up, but I was able to stay ahead and hold it from there.
Regardless of what happened there, you were able to hold on for the victory. And how was it with the rearview mirror being full all race long? Was there any extra pressure from that? Were you just focusing on what was ahead of you?
Yeah, just trying to focus on not making any mistakes and keeping it clean, and just focusing really on trying to put down fast lap times, and yeah, keep it clean and not wreck.
And able to put them down clean here in Watkins Glen, getting it done here in the Monster Designs 105 at the Glen. Next race on the schedule, 140 laps at Iowa Speedway. How do you feel going into that one?
Iowa's a weird track, so I'm not really sure. But I don't know, I'll see then.
Well, there we have it. We will see for the man who gets it done here in an upstate New York road course. Luke Peters gets it through for a victory in a Monster Designs 105. Now, any final thoughts on anyone else you'd like to thank?
Yeah, thank you for putting on the broadcast and everyone else for making a fun race.
And there we have it. Luke Peters going to be on the way here, getting it done in the Glen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And there we go. Well, it looks like, unfortunately, Eric Heater not going to be able to make it for an interview, but he says it was a fun race and a great race that he put on for the viewers. So we truly do hope you enjoyed the battle we saw all night long. Now, let's get to the man who had a great battle in his own right, and the man who came out victorious in the battle between himself and William Schmidt, position number 3, Alec Daffin. How do you feel after this 45-lap battle in upstate New York?
That's tough. Yeah, the start there was interesting because I guess Jordan, his wheel glitched or disconnected or whatever, and then him and Aaron got taken out. And then I was able to, it's too bad for those guys, then I was able to undercut Schmidt there and stand from the rest of the race. So definitely did not have a third place truck, but we survived and ran a fairly good race to pull it off.
And it seemed to be survival of the fittest all night long. Now, you and Schmidt had a great battle there, so what was the deciding factor in you getting third at the end of the day?
Definitely track position. I do want to say thank you to him for not spamming me, because I think it was like 3 to go. I kind of messed up the bus stop and going in a carousel kind of cut him off. It's kind of like Ty Gibbs and Kyle Larson Road America last year in between turns 1 and 2, I feel like. But thank you to him for not spamming me there and running me clean. But yeah, it was definitely track position for sure. I mean, I know that first run he burned his tires off and I passed him and drove off. Other than that, I feel like I don't know what happened to him there, William Schmidt. But other than that, I mean, he was definitely the faster car. But I was able to haul him off just enough, though.
And able to hold off at the end of the day. Now, tires the most important part of the strategic equation. How do you, of course, decide when you'd come down a pit road? As it seems like your final one, of course, one of the shortest runs, 13 laps in length compared to 16 for Heater and 15 for Peters.
Yeah, well, the first run I was based off Ryan Kendrick because he was like, I guess he was about 4 seconds behind me. So I figured I could pit 2 laps later and still stay in front of him, but I didn't want just to be safe. But then after I got in front of Schmidt, I wanted to make sure he didn't undercut me. So I pit, I guess, lap 15 to figure that was the good time to pit there. And then on the last stop, I would like to go laps later, but at the same time, I wanted to once again make sure he didn't undercut me and get back in front of me because I knew it was going to be game over after that unless he made a big mistake, which I didn't think he would. So yeah, I ended up having the older tires there, but still in that case, rather undercut than overcut. Usually like to overcut, but today wasn't really the day for that. So just all about track position, and paying earlier felt was the way to go.
And track position proved key to get it onto the final spot of the podium. Now, next race on the schedule going to be Iowa Speedway. How do you feel going to that one? Back to the ovals after a trip to Watkins Glen.
Good. I've ran there well recently. I ran well there last season. Unfortunately, things didn't go well at finishing 9th, but I felt like we had a second place truck there last season. So hopefully we can do the same thing this time around and finish it off. Cautions go my way, pit strategy, and get a good finish out of it. So I don't know if we'll have a winning truck, but I think we'll definitely be in the conversation. If things go my way, you never know.
And that's what we hope to hear. Alec Daffin, third tonight in the Monster Designs 105. Any final thoughts and anyone else you'd like to thank?
Thank you for the broadcast. Thanks everyone putting on the league. Cameron and the team. Shaw Racing Products. And congrats to Luke Peters on the win as well.
And there we have it. Alec Daffin gets it done in a fierce battle in his own right, getting it done over William Schmidt for third here in Watkins Glen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, David.
And there we have it. That is going to be tonight's event. Alec Daffin third, but Luke Peters, the man who gets it done here in the Monster Designs 105. We are halfway there. Race number 10 is over. And next time we go at it on Saturday night, it's going to be Iowa Speedway, round number 11 of the Stock Car Racing League Redline Truck Series. Now, excuse me for that one as we're getting on to the remainder of the week. We have one more broadcast on Sunday. That's going to be Michael Cormetis and the Slow Broadcasting Network team for the Fanta NR Cup Series. But I'll be back on Monday night for the Iowa rendition of the Ignite the Excitement 150 in the Integrity Ignite Series. We hope to see you there as well. Due to be a great show in its own right there. So we hope you enjoy that presentation as we get on to the next race on the FTN schedule. Thank y'all for watching tonight. I've been David Kreutz. Hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation. as we have hit over 900 subscribers, and we thank you dearly for your support. I'd like to thank Chase Schaefer and Monster Designs for being the sponsor for tonight's event. A great designer in his own right. Visit Monster Designs on Twitter for more information. He's a great guy, got a lot going on, and I tell you what, he'd love to have a commissioner for one or two of you guys. He's one of the best up there, rising talent of the paint scheme world. Now, thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation live on FTN, and this has been a broadcast of the Stock Car Racing League Redline Truck Series as the Monster Designs 105 at the Glen has concluded. We thank you all once again for your time.